Hi, today we are going to put together a miniature garden from one of the miniature garden kits that I sell through twogreenthumbs.com. In the kit is a dwarf tree, a couple of ground covers, patio material, your patio mix kit, and a couple of miniature accessories. All you need on your end to do the kit is a pot, some potting soil, and a pair of scissors, and a spoon would help. Okay, let's get started. This is a typical kit that I sell, and I have been selling through the online store Two Green Thumbs. So in the kit, it comes with some screen mesh to go over your drainage hole in your pots. Then we have our patio material. It's a greenstone sheet. Then we have our patio mix kit, exclusively ours. And normally these are stapled in, so during shipment, but for ease of the video, I just didn't staple them in the box. Miniatures are usually included in the kit. And then ground covers. I got a green carpet, and I have a very good armaria. And then today we'll be working with a mops cypress. So when you get the kit in the mail, get the staples out of the box and unwrap the trees, unwrap the ground covers. And normally I would suggest, if you do get anything in the mail, any plants in the mail, just let them rest for a day or two if you can. I know if you're like me, I'm usually eager to get started, but if you can let them rest for a day or three in your area, it'll help them acclimatize before you plant them, and they won't get stressed out as much. Okay, so we are ready to go. We have our pot. We have some potting soil, and just mesh for the drainage hole, but I have some cut already to make it easy. Okay, now we're going to fill up pot, and one of my pet peeves is people don't fill up the pot enough. They leave like 2 or 3 or sometimes 5 inches from the edge of the pot. So when you build your miniature garden scene, you're not seeing it from the side. You have to actually get over the pot to see it. So keep that in mind, because you want to be able to see it from afar. So we fill up the pot. This is just regular potting soil. There's no added fertilizers, like no Miracle Gro, no added fertilizers, and no water retaining polymers. The plants don't need it. We don't want the miniature plants growing any faster than they already do. And the water retaining polymers, I just don't think you can control the watering well if you have those. Okay, so the first thing you do is choose the front of the pot. A lot of times these Asian pots from Asia and from Thailand will have a ding. And I don't know how many times I have made a miniature garden only to finish it and realize that I didn't face the pot forward. So we're gonna look, this pot looks actually really, really good. I would be wearing gloves if I remember to grab them before I started this demo. But you can see the trees normally come in jam-packed, like well-rooted from my grower. It's an excellent grower down in Oregon, but sometimes these trees are really, really well-rooted. So go ahead and just slice it with a knife that I didn't tell you to bring, but you can also do it with a pair of scissors. So I just kind of jam the scissors up and just give it a little cut. Give it a little cut, and what I like to do is I at least get the scissors in there and give them a little twist. And you're just kind of opening up the roots, so the roots know that there's something different going on, because you can see that they're really curling themselves and really getting bound in the pot. So if you wanted to, you could just gently just untug the top roots where they're circling. And don't be afraid to be a little bit tough on this point, because the root balls are so tough that if you don't mix it up and get it so the roots can loosen, then it'll just think it's in the same pot when you put it in the ground. So I'm just going to remove, since I'm so root bound on this one. Normally I wouldn't have to do that. And then before you plant it, take a minute and choose the best part of the tree. There's usually one good side, as with everything. So I think that's the pretty side. And I'm going to be making this backwards so you can see it. And I think I'll just put it in the middle, in the back. And leave maybe about an inch, maybe half an inch from the edge of the back edge of the pot. So it'll have some room to grow on that side of the root ball. And just make sure that there's soil contact between the wall of the pot and the root ball. And this is the green carpet, Hernaria glabra. It's not as well rooted, but I'm gonna still remove these roots here. And the way to tell if a ground cover can be divided is that if there's one root going down into the soil. Here I can actually feel there's a couple of different roots on a couple of different parts of the plant. So I do imagine I can probably divide this nicely. But today we're just going to plant it up. So again, and see how I'm actually putting it kind of close to the pot, to the tree, which is going to be okay. This should last for 2 to 3 years at least. And just make sure you get some in between the pot, the wall of the pot and the ground cover. And then just fill in the spaces as you go. I got a little gap back here. And then make sure I have some room for the patio, okay. And this is Armeria, a very good, nifty, thrifty. And you can see that's kind of loosely rooted, so we don't even have to remove anything. It's also a good time to remove any of the dead leaves around the ground cover. And what I've done here is I've mixed up the textures and I've matched the colors. So I've got the kind of the yellows of the mops being picked up by the variegated Armeria. And there's 3 completely different textures here. So that just makes it more interesting. If they were all the same texture and all the same color, it would just look like one big plant, not a garden. So again, make sure there's soil contact between the walls of the plants. And I just realized I forgot to tell you guys you need a mister. Ugh. Okay, that's when we're all finished with the planting. Let's just spend a minute and clean up before we do the patio area. To make the patio, to find the patio area, and how you're going to do that is make like a little ledge in the garden bed. So you can see I've made like a little shelf there, and kind of tamp that down, not too hard, but enough to be firm. And you want this area in where the patio material is going to go, you want that soil to be dry. So if you've been working with wet or damp soil, just grab some dry soil from somewhere and just layer it in. And you want this maybe about 1 inch. That depth actually depends on the thickness of your patio material. I messed up the table. Okay. So this patio material that we're using is maybe about 1/4 inch. So I'm not going to add any more soil in this little trough area. And then crack open your mini patio mix kit. And grab the border and then just kind of unfurl it by curling it the other way. And massage it a little bit, get it relatively straight. And then you're just gonna hold up one end of the border against one side of the pot, and then figure out how it's gonna curve and shape with the garden ledge that you made. Any adjustments here will define your shape, the shape of your border as the shape that the actual garden edge takes. So just cut a couple skewers. Some garden shears might be easier for these skewers. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna work it from one end to another. So I'm pinning the border up against the edge of that garden bed ledge. And then I'm marking with my hand, with my other hand, where I'm going to cut it on the other end. Now, if you're working with a pot that's got an edge to it, you want to cut the complementary edge to the shape of the pot. You can see it's kind of taking shape. I think I want to make it a little straighter, so I'm just going to shave it off gradually. You can always take off more, but you cannot put it back on. So while you're trimming and taking it out and trimming, just trim it gradually. And you can readjust the skewers as you go. And get your corners all filled in with dirt. Soil, I should say. Soil. And see, it's kind of not, I think I want to take it up a little bit more. I don't want those two little curves on the either side of them. And as you're doing it, just fill in the back side of the border, the garden bed side. So you have a nice firm ledge to pin the garden bed, pin the garden border up against. That. Okay. So now we're ready to lay in the patio. Keep making messes around here, but that's fine. So the patio area is dry. So we have a layer of miniature sand. Okay, so we have a layer of sand. Layer of sand's maybe 1/4 of an inch. So we're gonna put maybe about a 1/2 inch layer of mini patio mix in there. And this is where your spoon comes in handy. Just keeps your fingers neat while you do it. And you can poke those skewers right down. Sometimes I've been able just to pull them up, but it's often easier just to push them down right into and below the patio mix, so you don't see them when the thing is finished. Okay, I might have too much mix here, but let's see how we do. This is a kind of a chunky sheet, so let's see if we can get kind of a straight edge out of it. So, and then we can start there, or a straighter edge. Maybe a straight edge can start at the straight edge here. And then this part is a bit finicky, but it's well worth it. You just got to kind of trim it off as you go, and you can always peel the stones off See, I'm getting there. I'm just fitting it, seeing which ones I need to cut. And you see this one does kind of bugging me. This stone right here. because it's not a complete stone. And you wouldn't have that in your full-size patio, so why would you have it in your miniature patio? And you see how that's nice and level with the top of the pot? So now we're just looking for a couple of smaller ones to fit in the nooks and crannies. And also, as you're looking, maybe go for the greener ones too, because the greener ones are such a fun color. Will that work? Sometimes you might need to switch it around. There we go. That's a good one. Okay, now we're all done with the stone. It's flat. You can feel it with your hands. If you're doing it, if you're not doing it with a sheet and you're doing individual stones, it's a good idea to get something flat and tamp it all down so it's nice and flat, rather than your hands. And then we can scooch a little bit more in there, more patio mix, and then ever so carefully you're going to push it into the corners. This mix contains cement, which if you have sensitive skin, it might irritate your skin, so wear gloves. For this part, garden gloves might be too chunky because you won't be able to feel the texture, so you might want to do some latex gloves. Whatever works. But either way, if you don't use gloves, make sure you wash your hands before doing anything. And then you're going to need to moisturize because this cement sucks the moisture out of your skin. So I'm just sweeping off with my hand. I can feel one's lower. This one's lower. This one's a little low. So I'm just going to sweep off the excess, save it for later, or another one. And then get your skewer, get one of your skewers, and see if you can kind of work up the ones that have gotten a little buried. You can see I'm exposing some space. This is one of the single ones that we added later that is sinking down, so you might need, this is where your spoon comes in handy, because you can really get the mini patio mix where you want it. And there you go. That feels a lot better. A little more. These chunks are just in the chunks in the mini patio mix are just the cement. So you can go ahead and squish them. If you have to, you can also squish them with the back of a spoon if they're really hard. You're not laying a foundation here. It's just a miniature garden patio, so if your cement mix gets compromised, you can always kind of repowder it and go again. And there you go. I know it doesn't look like much, but wait for it. So I'm going to introduce water. So I want to definitely clean up all this stuff. Look at your Mr. Bottle. Need one of these? Make sure it's on the mist setting. So from one side to another, I'm just blocking some of the spray with my hands so I don't make a little big mess. And you can see one has gotten away from us. So I'm going to quickly put it back. And you can get your spoon again. And just quickly prepare the one that I messed up. There you go. Okay, now after it starts to pool up on the surface, just leave it. And at this point, you can water your miniature garden gently from the back. Make sure it doesn't go on the patio. And make sure to water it thoroughly because you want to moisten the whole thing. And with that border, it should allow you to water and not affect the patio that's drying. Once the patio dries, you can water it anytime. It can be out in the rain, snow. So I'm gonna give you the mini cuttings to go in the pot, and then we have a little sculpture there, and there we go. Move that a little further up. There you go. And congratulations on your new slice of miniature garden real estate. It's the Miniature Garden Society
with Janet Calvo.